Hello, you're watching Daily News on All News Nigeria. I am Opeyemi Olubimi. Here are the headlines for today. Tinubu increases public officers' salaries by 114%. Vice President receives United Kingdom High Commissioner. World leaders eager to meet Tinubu in France. Welcome back. Now the news. Nigerians are in shock, some feeling betrayed or rather taken advantage of as Tinubu abandons the poor and average masses and increases salaries of public officers by 114%. Recall that All News Nigeria reported that Tinubu regime would likely show Nigerians shaggy promax following the brutal removal of fuel subsidy. Tinubu literally hit the ground running since his inauguration. He took a drastic step without putting measures in place to alleviate the masses' sufferings. The only commendable thing is done well to some is signing bills or suspending, sacking political office holders. President Tinubu categorically said, "Let the poor breathe." But at this point, the poor are being choked to death with this new development of increased salaries for public officers, increased electricity tariff, VAT paid on fuel, tax paid on diesel, among other things. The income of the rich is being tripled while the poor wallow in abject poverty. Amid rising burden of removing subsidy on petrol on civil servants, self-employed, private sector workers, and the unemployed, the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission on Wednesday, June 21, 2023, proposed to raise the salaries of public office holders by 114%, setting the stage for a more complex minimum wage negotiation process. The review would increase President Bola Tinubu's monthly emolument from 3.515 million naira to 8.13 million naira. Those of the vice president, governors, and lawmakers would increase accordingly. It's the same story all over again. The rich are getting richer while the poor are getting poorer. At this point, the poor are being strangled. Tinubu is letting the rich breathe without hassle, and the poor are getting choked. Where do we go from here? Already, economists are recommending 60,000 naira minimum wage to reduce the disparity in the take-home between public and civil servants whose incomes have been wiped out by fast rising inflation. From 2009, when the current consumer price index was set, the general monthly price index has increased by 510% from 90.2 points to 507.5 points. Sadly, the national minimum wage has only increased by 300% in the same period, moving from 7,500 naira to 30,000 naira. In dollar terms alone, Nigerian workers earned more back then than now, with high inflation also doing significant damage to household income. There is an ongoing negotiation for minimum wage review with organized labor demanding 200,000 naira. The government has not made an offer but advanced what it called cost of living allowance to cushion the effect of subsidy removal on income, with a total estimated spending pegged at 702 billion naira. While there has been no reasonable progress on the discussion, RMAFC disclosed the review of public officials already bloated salaries by 114% yesterday, an announcement that has triggered outrage from civil society and labor. It goes without saying, life has become unbearable for the average citizen who could barely afford 2 square meals during Buhari's tenure, that the masses thought was the worst as regards economy and inflation. With this new regime, if President Tinubu keeps at this, making changes that mostly benefit the rich and greedy politicians, then it's every man for himself. It's safe to say that Tinubu's administration have devised a means to legally embezzle public funds. National cake will reach them greedy lots without stress. In other news, while President Tinubu appears to be on an official visit to France on global matters, Vice President Kashim Shettima appears to have Aso Rock in order as he receives foreign visitors. The Vice President of Nigeria, Kashim Shettima, on Wednesday, June 21, 2023, met with British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Richard Montgomery, at the State House in Abuja. In a chat with State House correspondents after the meeting on Wednesday, the British High Commissioner said the meeting with the Nigerian Vice President was fruitful, as it focused on how to ramp up bilateral relations between the two countries, particularly in the area of boosting economic engagements.
So I think we already have a very good economic dialogue, but I think there's a great potential to do more. And as I discussed with His Excellency, the big economic decisions being taken by this government are really important, and they're being noticed around the world. The removal of subsidy, the exchange rate reform, all of that creates a much better investment environment. And I was in London last week. I was briefing my ministers, but I was also talking to British business in the finance, banking, investment sectors.
Montgomery also explained why the United Kingdom government banned international students from bringing family members with them starting 2024. By January 2024, Nigerians and other foreign nationals on study visa to the United Kingdom will no longer be able to bring in family members according to the new policy rolled out by the British government to curb migration. Finally, on the news, no less than 4 foreign leaders have requested to meet President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Paris, France, where he is expected to participate in the new Global Financial Pact Summit organized by President Emmanuel Macron. This is according to Dele Alake, Special Advisor to the President on Special Duties, Communication and Strategy, who spoke to the media on the essence of the summit on Wednesday. Alake said the country is expressing interest to expand economic cooperation with France, the United States, Switzerland, among others, as President Tinubu works to network in a bid to attract greater foreign investment to the country.
When we were boarding the aircraft for Paris, the essence is to network as much as is feasible, as much as is practicable. The president wants to network with international finance corporations, institutions, countries that are well-heeled, that would facilitate or that could facilitate direct foreign investment into Nigeria. Don't forget that Mr. President has taken some very bold steps in the area of economy, in the area of social engineering in the last 3 weeks.
Dele Alake recalled that in the recent past, a lot of international investors exited Nigeria because of the restrictive currency policies. But owing to the recent bold moves taken by the president in the area of the economy, foreign nations and investors have indicated more interest in the affairs of Nigeria in shoring up the country's economy. President Tinubu is making his first trip out of the country as president on Tuesday, arrived France for the 2-day summit. And that's it on today's news. To keep up with all news Nigeria, kindly follow us on all social media platforms displayed on the screen. We'll be back with more news updates. Until then, stay tuned. I am Okpeyemi Olubimi. Do have a lovely day.